statement, "Don't do drugs," isn't one that students of this age will listen to.
If I hadn't done the program, it could have affected my later life.
Maths is important and literacy is important, but this may well be a life-saving skill.
My initial response to teaching drug education at school was I was a little bit apprehensive. My perspective changed over time through the conversations that we were having with Australia21.
We found that 12-year-old students, which is primary age students, were exposed to, have used, have experience of drugs and drug culture.
We all agreed that we didn't have accurate information. We were as much to the whim of the myths that are circulating around drugs as everybody else. They brought in state experts and national experts who were able to point us towards resources that already existed.
There was total support from the parent body to go ahead with the program. We were really surprised and pleased that everybody was going to participate.
The children were having conversations with their parents, so if anything, we opened dialogue that may or may not have occurred.
Before doing the Australia21 program, I sort of had preconceived ideas of what drugs are about and who might use them.
I didn't know much about drugs, and I think that I had a really fixed mindset of, illegal drugs or drugs that could be harmful.
It's a really important topic that needs to be spoken about, even if people don't speak about it at home, but at school is a really good, safe place to talk about it.
It is important to do drug education for Year 6 and 7s. In South Australia, they're on the cusp of going into high school. In other states, they already are in high school. It's pretty easy to incorporate it within other things we're doing. You don't need to teach it in isolation, but you can teach it as part of everything else.
One of the things that we tried to do was take away the stigma and turn it into a classroom environment where you could feel free to pose questions, answer questions, give thoughts in a non-judgmental way, because we needed to clear up some of those misconceptions and some of the assumptions that the students brought. What we were actually advised was that it's the misuse of pain medications that's actually the largest issue relating to drugs in the country at the moment.
We've normalised taking drugs at a very young age for children, and it's actually happening at home. So at that point I thought, we should be having a conversation at school to discuss what that usage actually means.
It was fascinating to understand the level of knowledge the students already had and then to witness that growth.
I think the Australia21 program was actually smart to first start a video where you answer questions and you don't know nothing, and then you learn through it out, and then you do a video at the end. I think that was a really good way to keep showing what you've learned.
When I hear the word drugs, I think of sick people, criminals, poisons, injections, nausea, and death.
People who take drugs would be criminals, illegal people, and people that are just stupid.
What do I think when I hear the word drugs? Nothing. Why do people use drugs? Some are for medicine and some just take them.
The program added value to the children's ability to discuss drugs.
Being aware of what drugs are, how they work, the effects they can have, was providing the students with real-life skills that could assist them and others in their future.
Well, I've gotten just think more about the society and what they think and family issues that they can cause and stuff like that, instead of just thinking about good, bad, illegal and legal.
I've also learned how we feel before taking the drugs affects us after we take the drugs or alcohol.
If I was in a situation where my friends were offering me drugs, such as ice and cigarettes, I would tell them the side effects that will happen if they take it. For ice, you might have difficulty sleeping, chest pain, headaches, heart attacks, and you might even have a reduced in appetite. So I just wouldn't take it because I don't want to have any of those problems happen to me.
One of the things that we were really directed to was looking at short-term effects, because that's what the students will pay attention to.
The changes from the program really saw me understand a bit more about the drugs and about, you know, what are the uses, what are the causes, what are the effects, you know, emotionally and physically.
Is it like helpful to me in any way? It could affect my body in many ways. That's what I'll probably think about first. And how it affects my peer groups around me. If I'm hanging out in the right people and trying to make them think what I'm thinking.
I know now that I have like the knowledge to my disposal, so just in case I am put in a position where I need this knowledge, I can definitely use it.
This is about empowering children, giving them accurate information, because there's a lot of mythology around drugs. So we wanted them to have information, but also have the chance to think through their stance and their responses to risky situations, and in particular drug taking.
Hearing the way that they spoke just solidified that learning had been taken on and incorporated into their knowledge around that topic.
If you have a better understanding of things, the decisions you make will be better and more mindful.
The sooner the kids are able to get the vocabulary to talk about it, the better off they'll be.
We give them the words and the strategies to keep themselves in a safe place, and that may well be the most important thing we do in those senior years of primary school.